Tonight, Galloway's looks back to shape the future. Video clip from the film Back to the Future shows Marty McFly and Dr. Emmett Brown. Marty is holding a video camera and Dr. Emmett is setting the speedometer, which is going up from the 50s and to the 80s. The DeLorean car sets off and you can see the engine exhaust. The scene cuts to a dog in the car. Dr. Emmett grabs Marty as the car drives towards them. There are flashes coming from the car and then a time hole opens up. The video clip ends showing Cassandra Parkinson, Head of Finances, Rachel Watkinson, Head of Services, and Nicola Hanna, Head of Income Generation and Communications, sat on chairs with 3 Galloway's banners behind them.
Hello everyone and welcome to our first official Galloway's conference webinar. This is of course new to us and leads us to our theme of the day, a new Galloway's. Casting back to our last AGM in 2019, we had our 3-year strategy laid out and some exciting plans for our organisation.
Then in March 2020, we were hit with something no one could ever have predicted, COVID. It changed everything, not just for us, but for everyone. This heavily impacted our service users, volunteers and our team as we had to close our centres and work from home.
There were huge questions about what we did next and how we were going to cope both financially and emotionally. Some members of our team were furloughed while others were working from home whilst managing the impact on their family life. It was tough, but we have an incredibly resilient team and here is how they coped with the lockdown.
I'm James, I'm the Outdoor Activity Coordinator here at Galloway's. I had to think outside the box with regards to the Get Active programme because obviously we weren't able to meet up face to face, and I thought, well, let's try something a bit different, and instead of taking people outdoors, bring the outdoors to people. And I went out and I recorded quite a lot of walks and did some audio described walks that we put onto our YouTube channel so that then people could at least listen to the sounds of nature and basically bring the outdoors indoors, as somebody once said. And it gave people the opportunity to stay connected with the outdoors programme. The other thing we started doing was some of the Zoom sessions where we had a couple of guest speakers talking about different activity type things that they'd done. But one of the main things we did for that was just having a catch up and chat, which gave a space for people to come along and just chat and catch up with the friends that they've not seen for ages and just reconnect with people.
Hi, I'm Charlotte, the events coordinator at Galloway's. I really enjoyed during lockdown just things slowing down and not having to rush about so much.
As an iClinic liaison officer, one of the really important things that came out of the pandemic was being able to really utilise the Northwest ECLO network that we'd set up. We set it up a few years ago and there was around about 6 or 7 ECLOs in that network. But during COVID, the numbers increased to, there's around about 15 ECLOs in that network now. And we really benefited from being able to come together and support each other, you know, with things like how do we now support patients when we're perhaps not present in clinic? How do we now deal with things like CBI processes that are still needing to be dealt with, but we're not actually, you know, in the clinic itself to do some of these things, and obviously try and get all that really key information that patients need that was just ever changing because of COVID, you know, and really keep on top of what information is needed and getting it out there to people. So being able to actually come together as a network and support each other was really, really valuable.
Hello, my name is Adele. I'm the Sight Loss Advisor at Galloway's. So last year, COVID, what an absolute shock that was, and having to work from home was just really, really difficult, and juggling family and work, but with the support of all my colleagues at Galloway's, we got through it, and I think we provided a fantastic service for our service users that were equally having a really difficult time, and just to be there for them and to support them. I thought that was, we did the best that we could.
Hi, my name's Andrew Coleman. I'm the Digital Services Manager at Galloway's. And how did I cope with lockdown? At first it was a really kind of challenging time for everybody, but the thing that kind of kept me going was being able to support our community of blind and partially sighted people and find ways that we could engage constructively and confidently to help people through the pandemic. So for me, it was our community that kind of kept me going, and digital was a big thing. I think a lot of people have really upped the ante with learning new tech, Zoom culture. All those things have helped us get through the pandemic, and our community had to quickly learn how to engage with us in not just over the telephone but online as well. So taking a lot of our activity and our training and our support and moving that to a digital and telephone based support service was something that, you know, really actually got me excited in how we could deliver things in a different way. So whilst the pandemic was also challenging, it also gave us some fantastic new opportunities as well, which will hopefully future-proof us as staff and as an organisation, but also future-proof our community going forward.
Hello, I'm Tina Boddington. I'm Trust and Grants Lead at Galloway's, and I really wanted to talk about how I sort of coped during lockdown. Because I'm based at home and only pop into the Galloway's office in Howick every other week, you would have thought it would have been really easy for me to manage being based at home all the time. But actually I found that I really missed coming up to Howick every other week and mixing with people. And it was so difficult, you know, sort of living, sleeping, eating, working in the same house all the time. So there were quite a few things that sort of really helped me through it. One of them was really sort of the Teams and Zoom and all the digital sort of facilities we were able to use to keep in contact with colleagues. But I did find in the evenings I didn't really want to go on Zoom at all, you know, sort of socially with any friends. But now that we're back with hybrid working, I just realise how much I've missed my visits coming up here and seeing people face to face. And I think one of the biggest things that really helped as well was to be able to, you know, go for a walk or go for a jog at lunchtime, just to make sure that I got out of the house.
This has been the most challenging of times, and we want to take this opportunity to remember those we have lost, friends and family, and those within the community that we support. Our thoughts and prayers are with those that we've lost and those that are left behind. Lockdown was incredibly hard on everyone, but in particular for those who are already vulnerable and feeling isolated due to their sight loss. For those who rely on others, for those who couldn't see family and friends, for those whose eye appointments were cancelled, and for those that really needed someone to talk to, they were all deeply affected by the pandemic and lockdown. We know from the thousands of people we spoke to during these lockdown periods there was a lot of fear. Fear of leaving the house, fear to go out for a walk, to go to the shops alone. There was loneliness, and people missed the solidarity of our social groups and activities. It was an incredibly difficult time for those who needed our support. Brian tells us how lockdown affected him, especially as he was shielding.
Brian Whitfield, and this is my guide dog Purdy. I've had her for 2 years now, and she's brilliant, but she hasn't worked for the since lockdown, because I'm at high risk, because I've had a liver transplant. So I'm on immunosuppressants. So and dogs haven't been taught social distancing. So I don't go walking with dogs. So Joanne, my wife, she's been taking her for walks. And I've been out very early morning in rain when there's nobody about. So it's a lot safer. It's been really hard because I just stayed in basically all the time.
And have you been missing going to Galloway's?
Oh God, yeah. Missing going Galloway's because I go to IT classes at Galloway's, so we've been missing that.
The walks, definitely.
And the walks with James, we go on 2 or 3 of them each month, and they're brilliant. And we take Dog with us on them, and she loves it. Until vaccine's been brought out, I can't see me going anywhere in public until then, because I'm too much at high risk to be in public, especially in shops and that.
But the Galloway's team worked tirelessly to innovate and adapt our services, and I'm incredibly humbled by the commitment and dedication shown by all of them. Throughout, we ensured that whilst our centres were closed, we were still very much open, and we made sure that those who use and need our services and support were not forgotten. From March 2020 to April 2021, we supported more than 4,200 people. We prioritised our most vulnerable clients, making more than 5,000 welfare calls to make sure they had enough support. This extended way beyond sight loss advice, as our team gathered up-to-date information on food and prescription deliveries and other external support. This continues to this day as we continue to support people to navigate their way out of this pandemic. On top of this, we adapted our community outreach work to reduce social isolation by making garden and doorstep visits to drop off equipment and provide support such as reading mail. Recognising the importance of social and peer-to-peer support, we introduced our brand new Talking Together telephone and Zoom programme, which is accessed by more than 80 blind and partially sighted people each week.
Our year in numbers infographic for 2020 to 2021 shows
4,240 people supported,
70 Get Active videos,
883 ECLO interactions,
5,252 welfare calls,
562 Alexa listeners,
3,291 Talking Together interactions,
150 Zoom sessions,
335 new people reached,
227 low vision assessments,
16,875 audio editions,
and 194 one-to-one tech sessions.
Our popular Tech Talk at 3 programme welcomed an impressive programme of speakers, including Callum Payne from Microsoft, Luke Hoare from Amazon, and Stephen Scott from Double Tap. We moved all our Get Active service online, with guest speakers such as blind climber Jessie Dufton, blind surfer Steve Fox, and ultramarathon runner Simon Wheatcroft. We also provided audio-described walking videos, exercise sessions, and moved quickly to restart smaller walking groups when restrictions allowed. Here's a video of how we kept people connected.
This is how we keep people with sight loss connected whilst in lockdown, helping with isolation and loneliness through remote Zoom calls, audio-described video walks, and providing our talking news service to people across the country.
Now here's a video of how our walks and virtual Get Active programme has helped people during this pandemic.
Galloway's, support through sight loss. Our outdoor activities coordinator James took his second group of Get Active members on a socially distanced walk in Southport. This video shows James and his sighted support worker Jack with 4 visually impaired walkers. Richard, Lorraine and Jenny walk with long white canes, and Caroline walks with a guide dog. The group started at the train station and walked across Lord Street towards Marine Lake and the Pleasureland. They then walked through the park and ride to an area of Heathland and then turned round to walk back to the train station.
It's Lorraine's first walk with us, and just about since lockdown, and how lockdown's affected you, and what's it like to get out and about?
Quite good. It's good to get out in the fresh air and good to meet new people. I was a bit nervous this morning, but the nerves have settled now, and it's just nice to be out in the fresh air. Somewhere new.
You need to maybe look at some of our other Get Active programmes when We can get more of those up and running.
Definitely. I haven't done any public transport at all, and luckily we've had friends who've done shopping and left it on the doorstep for us. So I haven't had to navigate a supermarket or anything yet.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that'll happen fairly soon.
Yeah, how are you feeling about that one then? Having to maybe tackle that?
Not excited, I have to say, but we'll do it.
So what's it like, Richard, being out after?
Well, it's always nice to get out. It's good to get a bit to stretch your legs and get some bit of exercise in, and hopefully not trip over too many things.
So you've not been out much since we've been in lockdown and things like that?
Well, I've been restricted from going out because I've been on one of these. Got to stay in until the 1st of August.
Shielding, was
yeah,
it?
the shielding. Yeah. So from the 1st of August, I went out and did a bit of walking.
Good.
In order to get some leg working before I came out on this one.
And how have you found the other things that we've been doing with the videos and the Zoom meetings and things like that?
Oh, they're good.
So have you found them useful though, with the exercise videos, the virtual walks, and all the Zoom calls and things we've been doing?
Yes, yeah, they're very interesting, and it makes you realise what you have to get out there again and do some more walking.
We also maintained our vital ECLO and low vision support with over 800 ECLO interactions, over 200 low vision assessments and over 600 sight loss appointments. These were done initially over the phone and then some face-to-face as restrictions allowed. When we found that patient transport stopped and visually impaired people couldn't get to vital eye clinic appointments, we arranged and coordinated a brand new transport service using our amazing volunteers. At a time when we needed technology and digital aids the most, 2020 and 2021 saw us collaborate more than ever on 3 major assistive tech projects. Just as lockdown started in March, Galloway's launched its own Alexa skill, which allows people to find out our latest services as well as listen to a range of talking newspapers, our audio magazine, The Galloway's Eye, and also some armchair exercises. Shortly after this, we joined the global app Be My Eyes as a specialist partner, enabling sight loss advisors to provide support to blind and partially sighted people anywhere across the country. Influenced by the pandemic and the fact that we were not able to support people through assistive tech in person anymore, we began working with a new digital partner, Aspire Assistive, to deliver tech ability. At the beginning of the year, we loaned out data-enabled tablets and provided one-to-one online remote support to 13 blind and partially sighted people who were not confident using technology and equipment. Here's Andrew Coleman, our Learning and Skills Manager, discussing how assistive tech improves lives.
Hello, my name's Andrew Coleman. I am Digital Lead and Assistive Technology Coordinator for Galloway's. I'm registered blind myself. I was born with congenital glaucoma and I've lived with it all my life. I learned to adapt every day, really. I'm a positive person and I'm a big believer in technology and encouraging people to use technology to be more independent.
And how can we use technology to improve the lives of blind and partially sighted people?
We can improve the lives of blind and partially sighted people with many different things, but I think technology is a huge enabler. I think there are a lot of people out there, not just people with disabilities, but also anyone in the world, that sometimes, technology is not always considered as a solution for a problem or a purpose. Since I've been at Galloway's for the last 3.5 years, us as a team, there's a big emphasis on, bringing this down to a level that people can understand and talking to people about what do you like to do in life? What are your hobbies? What do you like to do? What do you find difficult? And then slowly bringing technology in to say, well, technology can actually help you do these things, and a little bit more emphasis on how people can use it to overcome some of the difficulties and barriers that blind and partially sighted people can face. Able to reach more people has always been a priority for Galloway's, and I think more than ever we've seen within the lockdown and COVID-19 situation, that people have really stood up to the plate, and they've really challenged themselves in lots of different ways, whether it's somebody learning to use the telephone, to join a telephone group and put a big long PIN number in, or somebody that's really gone a long way to learning to use online platforms such as, FaceTime, Teams, Zoom. Galloway's, we use Zoom a lot for a lot of our different talks. And I think if one thing has come from this for me is that we have been able to spread our wings. We have been able to reach more people within our community using digital services. And a lot more people have had the time to come and join particular talks or even take part in training and one-to-one training, because they've really stepped up to it and they've learned to use these new platforms. And if, anything comes positive from this situation, obviously there's a lot of negativity around, there's a lot of sadness, there's a lot of frustration around COVID-19. But for me, working at Galloway's, it's actually been a hugely positive time in terms of being able to introduce people to new ways of communicating. It's actually meant that they're not going to be isolated anymore, and that they have got opportunities, different ways of communicating with us in the future, even when we come out of lockdown. So I think there are a lot of positives to be taken out of this, and I do feel that whether it's online training or it's one-to-one, whether it's over the phone, and also bringing people together, we've had to grab hold of this new culture and use it to the best of our ability. And I do feel as a charity and as an organisation, we're doing that. And I'm really proud of our community that have not given up, and they've really delivered in learning these new ways of communication. So it's a real pleasure to be part of that and plan for the future, because I do believe that technology is the future.
Our volunteers were as devastated as we were that our services were heavily impacted by the pandemic, but their commitment to us has never failed, and they worked hard to support us so we could continue our service delivery. Throughout the pandemic, they made welfare calls, supported us in conducting surveys, recorded our talking news from their own homes, provided really important patient transport, hosted talking together sessions such as quizzes and the book club, provided gardening and maintenance support at our sites, and recorded the What's Going On guides. So on behalf of the team at Galloway's and the people who use our services, a huge thank you.
The impact of COVID on our fundraising activity was huge, not only on our income levels, but also on the morale of our team. We had some amazing big fundraising events planned in 2020, but sadly, these had to be cancelled because of the pandemic. Our community supporters struggled to come together and support us, and overall our income dropped significantly. As a local charity, we rely on our community to support us, but they just couldn't. However, the situation also gave us an opportunity to be more creative and try new things. We significantly increased our fundraising via digital platforms and tested new activities. We adapted our 8-mile Morecambe Bay walk to not the Morecambe Bay walk, encouraging people to run, walk or skip 8 miles in their bubbles during June. We joined the 2.6 challenge organised by the London Marathon, asking people to take part in an activity based around the number 26 and fundraise or donate £26. We adapted our Santa Dash by inviting people to run, skip or walk 3k in their bubbles during December. During this period, people continued to support us in other ways, such as donating gifts in wills or taking part in our lottery, which was a huge lifeline to our finances in such a difficult year. We also saw huge success in how Trust and Grants funders supported us, and Tina, our Trust and Grants lead, is going to talk about that now.
Firstly, we were so pleased that all our existing funders showed flexibility in how we delivered their grants during the pandemic. This ranged from the Masonic Charitable Foundation, who widened their original delivery, to Doyley Cart Charitable Trust, the James Tudor Foundation and Living Well Sefton, who all agreed to extend the term of their grants. During the pandemic, many charitable trusts launched new grant schemes to help charities manage their drop in income. Here at Galloway's, we worked as a team to ensure we had the right evidence to apply for grants. Because the services team adapted delivery so quickly and consulted with service users, we were able to use this information to apply for grants. During 2020 and 21, we received funding from a number of new funders. The National Lottery Community Fund supported Galloway's with a grant of £79,677 to deliver welfare calls, talking together and assistive technology. So thank you to the players of the National Lottery for buying their lottery tickets. The Community Foundation for Merseyside and Lancashire supported us with £20,000 for welfare calls, equipment and communications. And we were delighted when our grant application to Julia and Hans Rousing Trust was successful, with a contribution of £120,330 towards our core costs. As this is a national charitable trust, we knew the grant scheme would be oversubscribed. There is always that trepidation before you open the email from the funder, and I really did not think we would have a chance. But Nicola was always positive, and rightly so. As it turned out, we were successful. The key has been having great stories to tell, good evidence of impact, and keeping positive.
Galloway's virtual fundraising 2020 to 21. Be a Galloway's champion and take on the 2.6. Video shows a young woman, Chloe, teaching a dog to jump across her 26 times.
25, 26, yay!
Galloway's Santa Dash montage shows people dressed in their Santa suits doing their individual dashes.
Merry Christmas! Ho, ho, ho! Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Ho, ho, ho!
Like it was for many people, the pandemic was a period of reflection for us in terms of how do we adapt to a new normal and how do we create a new Galloway's. We embarked on a massive project, something we have never done before, as we involved the whole organisation and key stakeholders in making plans for the future.
We led over 800 discussions to find out what people really wanted. This involved speaking with more than 100 people, including people with sight loss, their families, volunteers, donors and members of our own Galloway's team.
And who can forget our workshops and Dragon's Den pitches? We really wanted to look at every angle, and not intentionally copying a well-known drinks brand, we asked ourselves the question, if Carlsberg did Galloway's, what would it look like? So here is a short video of people's memories and highlights.
Being involved in the Build Back Better programme that we had within Galloway's, it was an absolutely amazing opportunity to work with colleagues across the whole of Galloway's that you would never normally get that opportunity to do. It's hard enough when you're trying to engage with people from centre to centre, but to cross department work was never an option before. So during the Build Back Better programme, we were able to engage with others from different departments. It brought a variety of ideas to the table that each of us hadn't thought of before, and sharing those personalities and the drive from the passion that every one of us has got for Galloway's was really, really important. It was really good to be able to do that. It opened up the communication channels. It allowed us to come up with completely out of this world ideas, and then actually come back to reality and come up with kind of the programmes that we've got in place now coming up for the future. It was really good. Doing the Dragon's Den kind of presentation at the end as well was also really good fun. It allowed us to kind of have a bit of fun while producing a really important piece of work, to be able to present to people who engage with Galloways, from a service user to the trustees to members of the senior staff, which don't normally get to see the kind of work that we do on the ground as well, in the capacity to which they've seen it. And that was just a phenomenal experience. And hopefully now the outcome of that is a brand new change for the next 3 years, and going forward from that point onwards.
My highlight was actually the very first day of the workshops, because I really didn't know what to expect. And I had great fun. I was working on community engagement. We did some role playing, and we even dressed up. I was dressed up as a newsreader to do a daft news story, just to highlight what's good and what's bad. And all that was on my birthday, so it made it extra special.
Being part of the Build Back Better design group, I really enjoyed being part of that, and that sort of helped me sort of overcome, being based at home 100% of the time. But actually, conversely, it was very strange, because I found I was in contact with a lot of people who I wouldn't normally come across because of geography, perhaps who are based at Chorley or Morecambe or Southport.
My favourite part of the design workshops was the opportunity to work with all members of Galloway's services team fundraising. I was quite new to Galloway's at that point, so it was really nice to have the opportunity to get to know everyone.
I'm Joseph. I've been the cafe manager at Broomy Sunshine in Morecambe for about a year and a half, and I am now the volunteer lead for Galloway's. Earlier on in the year, we did some design workshops as part of our Build Back Better. I'd been quite sort of detached from the organisation because of COVID, so it was really great as an opportunity to get to know everyone and to work with people in a way that I hadn't been able to so far. I thought the workshops were really well organised, and it brought together people in different groupings to think about things that were maybe outside of their working day-to-day kind of roles. I really enjoyed moments to have some blue sky thinking. We thought about what would Galloway's be if it was made by Carlsberg in the famous adverts. What would we be if we were the best? I also enjoyed the Dragon's Den aspects of the workshops, where we were put in groups of, say, people I'd not really spoken to much before, and asked to think about an aspect of the organisation that we would like to change or make better. And then we had to think maybe outside of the box, say if we had more resources than we do right now, or more time or more people, where would we take it? What would we do with it? And we had the chance to put that to a team of experts and people who the decisions would matter to the most, such as service users, long-standing members of the charity, the CEO, the trustees. It was really great to hear some critical, honest feedback on our ideas, and then to see them go on to take those ideas into being part of the next phases of Build Back Better.
Our design work helps us set out our strategy to build a new Galloway's and help us deliver the services people tell us they want. The key change elements to our new 3-year plan are moving to community-based service delivery, making sure that we are accessible for our communities, building on our digital success by developing this further and using it as a tool to educate and influence, placing greater emphasis on our communications function to shout about what we do, the impact we have on the lives of the people that we support, and how we then build relationships with people at all levels. Investing in our infrastructure to ensure we can maintain and improve the quality of everything we do, support our staff group and further develop our volunteering offer. Focus more on being creative about how we engage and learn from people with lived experience, and driving forward a new integrated way of working across all departments.
We have already begun implementing some of these changes, and we are ready for another exciting year. One thing we have to say through all of this work is we've been fully supported by our wonderful Board of Trustees, and we are really grateful for their expertise, their guidance to help us deliver such an exciting strategy. Here is a video of some of the ways our trustees have made a difference to us in the last year.
Here I am, ready to set off on my 8-mile challenge for Galloway Sight Loss Society. Should have been walking across Morecambe Bay, but hey, I'm going to walk round Fulwood and Ingle in this beautiful dress in the rain. So, see you later. Bye.
91-year-old Mavis Booth has joined her family in raising money for our services. This video shows Mavis with Simon and her grandson Arthur walking around the garden. This is all part of the Booth family's collaborative challenge of walking or running 1,000 kilometres by September the 13th. Here is our chairman, Simon Booth.
There's going to be 8 of us. My mum is 91, and what she does is walk around the garden. Then you have myself, my wife Jill, Beatrice, Grace, Harry, Tilly and Arthur.
Hello, I'm Carol Holmes and I'm a trustee with Galloway's for over 7 years, and I have an hereditary eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa, and I have been registered blind since the age of 30, and I'm now in my 70s.
As a long-term trustee, what differences have you seen and why do we need to adapt?
The whole sight loss world has changed somewhat, and whereas at one time you were considered elderly at 60, elderly-ish, now it's not. 60 to 80-year-olds, they're looking at different things. But I do think there is a big gap at the moment, and extra support is needed for the 60 to 80-year-olds who probably have had perfect sight until that age, and now are really struggling, losing self-confidence and becoming lonely because maybe their family has left home, and they feel people don't understand and they try and hide it. Nothing's better than getting round a table with like people and discussing how they can go forward. And there is lots of help at
I'm
Galloway.
Sunila Jain. I am one of the ophthalmology consultants at Lancashire Teaching Hospitals, and I'm a proud trustee of Galloway's.
And why is it important to reach people from diverse communities?
The RNIB Trust has done some studies on this, and they think that the BMA community is more prone to visual impairment. Because I belong to that community, I have a little bit of insight into the way people think. And to admit to any disability, especially vision, is considered like a stigma. And so people don't want to admit that they can't see or they are affected because of their vision. So you can imagine people from that community wouldn't want to seek help.
My name is Carl Harrison. I've been a trustee with Galloway's since February 2020, and I too am sight impaired. I suffer from a condition called Stargardt's, and I think it's important as an organisation that we are relevant in the circumstances, and of course those circumstances change over time. So to be relevant, I think it's perhaps a question of us trying to gain access into their world as opposed to trying to invite them into the world of Galloway's. I think in particular for the younger people of working age, they might have a perception, whether it's misplaced or otherwise, that Galloway's is there to perhaps serve best people of the older, more mature generation, maybe not for them or their needs. So I think there's work for us in the first instance to educate and impart information to demonstrate that we are a current organisation. We are there for service users of all ages.
Hi, my name's Joanna Solanke and I'm a fairly new trustee to Galloway's, having joined the board earlier this year.
And how can Galloway's add value to the work that other organisations are delivering and seek partner relationships that would benefit visually impaired people?
Yeah, well, firstly, I do think that there are these opportunities for Galloways to work in this way with other organisations. Blind and partially sighted people can face barriers when trying to access services, including specialist services and universal services that actually exist to support and serve the whole community, including them. So I think Galloways can add value by partnering with those organisations that exist to deliver those services, so that they are truly accessible to blind and partially sighted people too.
Hi, I'm Hannah Taylor and I joined the Board of Trustees at Galloway's in January 2020. We've seen through the pandemic that we've managed to diversify our fundraising because we weren't able to carry out our usual and planned fundraising activities. We're very grateful for the support that we've received from our existing supporters, but it's also been really encouraging to see new supporters and funders engage with us. It remains an incredibly difficult time for all charities, including Galloway's, with restrictions continuing to limit what fundraising we can do. If we are to build back better, we are going to have to raise more money to support the changes. So we'll need to continue to diversify who that money comes from, and we hope that our supporter base will grow and become more reflective of the communities that we serve here in Lancashire and Sefton.
Thank you to everyone for attending our first virtual conference. Whilst it has been a difficult year, there is no denying we still have a lot of positive things to talk about, and we are immensely proud of all of our team, our trustees, our volunteers and our supporters for everything they have done.
And more importantly, thank you very much for your support. It has been a difficult year, but you have been with us every step of the way, and that means so much to us.
We have lots to look forward to over the next 12 months, and we hope you join us again next year.
Thank you. Bye.